we had another patient. This was a Montagnard, a little boy, and some of the latrines, especially over in the recon areas that were used by the indigenous troops. We had one company of Montagnards and one company of Cambodians. Well, they were built like an outhouse, but they had the bottoms of 50-gallon drums underneath to take the waste products, and then it had what they would do at the end of the week is they pull those out and put I don't know if they use gasoline or kerosene or what they put in there, but then they would light it and it would just flame up. Well, this little 10-year-old boy, I think was with his father, or it happened at one of their villages. I'm not sure which, but basically he got a flash burn, and he was burned on his arm and his face and all that kind of. He was 10 or 11 years old, and he was just the cutest little boy you ever saw. And Buff Costello, this big guy, his hands were about the size of two of mine. But he was so gentle, and he took care of that little boy. And every day, we left him in the dispensary, and pretty soon he was well enough where he could run around the dispensary, So he became our little mascot. And I remember when he left, he just bawled. He was in tears. He was like, if you hadn't have been here, Sid, I would have died.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a very heartwarming thing, and I know Buff Costello he probably wanted to adopt him. We wanted to adopt a lot of us. Another little boy came in. Actually, this is one of the letters I wrote home. I was going to pull it out and actually read the letter. But a little boy came in, and he had been walking through the jungle and had been chased by an elephant. And he tripped over a vine or something, and he slid on the ground and drove 3 bamboo slivers into his arm. So he came into the dispensary. I pulled out our charts, anatomy charts and all of that kind of stuff, trying to figure out how to go in there and remove these. There was a doctor down at this big airfield, and they had a higher level. I like to think it was supposed to be higher level medical staff than we did, because that's where they would take the wounded and immediately ship them to, like infantry units and all that. The doctor wasn't very nice. He was so uppity, and the fact that our indigenous troops were hired as mercenaries, they weren't paid by the Army of the Republic of Vietnam. They were paid by the United States government, and they were supposed to get the same medical treatment as U.S. soldiers.
Right.
I told on the last one where my first mission out, when I was awarded the combat medic badge, treating someone under fire, this Montagnard was peppered with shrapnel. And when I tried to get him in there, the guy refused to take him. So we took him back to the dispensary and treated him. So this little boy, I took him down there. No, I didn't even take him down there. I just went down and I asked the doctor, I said, listen, I've got this patient. He said, I won't treat him. I said, it's 3 bamboo slivers in his arm. He said, I won't take him. Again, this kid was about 11, 12 years old. So I took him into the dispensary and I put him up on the operating table, and I think that's that picture of me operating on him.
Okay.
Yeah, and so what I did is I put lidocaine. I gave him shots of lidocaine around the area, and then I made very small incisions in there so I wouldn't damage anything. And I went in there and I pulled out these small bamboo slivers. They were all about a couple inches long and maybe 1/8 of an inch wide or 1/4 inches wide. And then we left. I think we left the wound open for a couple of days just to make sure that there was no infection. But that was just a little thing. We treated snake bite. We treated all kinds of malaria, all 3 types of malaria. We treated dengue fever. Almost always the 20 beds were filled up, and most of them were indigenous. But we also treated Americans when they got sick. My best friend over there, Trent Lancelot, or one of the guys I hung out with the most, and we became great friends after Vietnam. He got malaria, and they shipped him off to a field hospital. When he came back, he said, Don, I wish I'd stayed here. You guys would have taken a lot better care of me than they did at that field hospital.